In episode number 429 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover Ray Fisher's Forbes interview.
We also have everything coming to our favorite streaming service. It is the HBO Max November highlights.
And our comic book highlight this week, as chosen by the Brokettes, Batman number 102.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am your Emperor Palpa Kelli.
And I am Cypher Daniel.
I don't know what that is.
It's basically the Team Rocket of Pokemon Gale of Darkness with that Dark Lugia.
You take that back. Nobody is the Team Rocket of anything except for Team Rocket.
All right, it's the Diet Team Rocket of Gale of Darkness.
Why would they name it so close to, like, Scyther?
Yeah, the Scyther's not even their Pokemon either.
That makes no sense. If you're going to name yourself Cypher, give yourself Scythers.
I think Cypher is actually a thing, though, like when you decipher something.
No, I don't think so. I think this is just a dumb team.
For those of you new to the show, the way we format it is first we go through some news. We head into our What's New on HBO Max, then into our Patreon shoutouts, those of you who make the show possible, and finally we end it with the comic book highlights and the Brokette block.
Our first bit of news comes from the merchandise and collectibles world. Funko has announced its line of Batman the Animated Series Black Light Pops exclusive to Hot Topic.
We had previously covered how the same company that owns Hot Topic had purchased out Funko, so they're going to get a lot of exclusives. I think the thing that we were fearing, which was that they were no longer going to do any exclusives for other stores like Target, Walmart, and comic shops, didn't end up happening. I think what they end up doing instead is they'll give priority exclusivity to their stores like Hot Topic if they feel like it's something that does fit that audience or those people, the shoppers. Right. And these Blacklight Funko Pops for Batman the Animated Series definitely fit that bill.
They had previously done Blacklight Pops for lame-ass Marvel. But they are debuting these Batman the Animated Series ones with Harley Quinn and the Joker.
As well as Batman. The pop boxes are also designed with blacklight effects. So if you have it in your collection somewhere where you do have black lights, if you're a 13-year-old and your room is all decked out in blacklight, then these will look amazing in your collection.
Can I tell you, I did want like a blacklight room when I was 13. Like paint the walls black and then like write on the walls and something and you turned it on and you're like, whoa.
Me too.
I also wanted really?
Yeah, one of my friends had a blacklight and it was a big strip one and he would turn it on so all his like albums and CDs would look cool. His room would look awesome, but when you really think about it, you can't sit there for hours hanging out in your room under fucking blacklight.
I wanted a blacklight tattoo for a really long time too. I don't know if you remember that, but
I do. Yeah, I remember, or a glow in the dark one.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool. I'd probably get cancer. Whatever.
There was something weird about it, yeah, where their effects weren't really
They didn't really
yet.
know, right? Because it was so new.
And it doesn't look good when it's not under black light or just out in regular light. You really can't see the thing. It doesn't even look like white ink that you're using, which already doesn't look great on your skin. And yeah, it's not something we ended up doing.
But back to these Funko Pops. So the Funko itself has a blacklight design. So have you seen them? I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, I've taken a look at them. So they have the normal animated series ones. You've seen those, right? So they'll have like these sharper effects on the edges where it looks like it's sketched in a little bit, like with a marker.
Oh, okay.
And then the paints themselves are like a neon color. So instead of Batman's skin being what we see already, it's more like a sort of yellowish, greenish. And they actually look cool even without blacklight. It just looks like a neon colored Funko Pop or a version of those. So they actually do look cool even if you don't have a blacklight.
All right. And then, of course, designs on the boxes. I think that's a really cool idea. Like, you already sold it to us once. Yeah, I'm probably going to buy it again.
I kept checking Hot Topic's site, and they kept going in and out of stock. When I was checking, they weren't in stock. And the comments section and in the story from Bleeding Cool it had people saying, yeah, I can't get one, and I'm going to try again later. So if we ever end up going into a Hot Topic anytime soon, I know a lot of these malls, we're not really visiting them, and a lot of these stores are closed anyway, but it'd be a spot that I'd want to check All three look amazing, honestly. All three look cool. I thought that maybe one would work better than the others. Like, yeah, definitely the Harley, probably the Joker, but even Batman looks really good in blacklight.
Of course, Batman looks good in everything. What are you even talking about? Why was that even a question in your mind?
Well, before I looked at his, I thought, all right, well, the grays and the yellows, maybe they can change the color, but they really made it like a blue and a green and a neon yellow, and the boxes do look cool. So I'm going to try to nab some of these.
We're going to have to. We have to have every Batman the Animated Series things in our collection.
So far, I think we do, as far as the Funko Pops. I don't think we've missed one. Thanks to Brian Schaup, he got us the Mr. Freeze Funko Pop, which was exclusive to, I think it was the Funko Core, the DC Core line of them, which was basically like Loot Crate, but with Funko Pop, where they would give you a t-shirt and some other merch. And then they recently made this year's Ra's al Ghul one. I think it was a San Diego Comic-Con, Virtual Con exclusive. And that one, Comictropolis, gave me the heads up, and within minutes they had evaporated.
Of course.
Yeah, huge thanks to both of them for helping us keep that collection going. And so far, no gaps, except now there's these blacklight versions that I'm like, all right, I guess we have to go for those too.
Yeah.
Can't have a gap.
Listen, we'll find them.
One of Kelli's favorite characters this year as of
you
recent
stop
time.
This.
So
you
if you
get
ever
out.
want to send her any...
get out of this house. This podcast is over. We're done. I never thought you would betray me like this in our marriage.
If you're an artist and you want to draw Kelli as Punchline...
No! I thought you were going to call it Dustin Nguyen. Like, Dustin Nguyen, do this for her.
What? Okay, so what would happen then if Dustin Nguyen drew you as Punchline and sent it to you? What would you do with that?
I mean, I'd have to keep it because it's Dustin Nguyen, but then I would ask him, Dustin Nguyen, what gave you this idea? And he would say, Daniel emailed me and told me how much you like this character and how much it would mean to you. And then you would just, I guess, be sleeping in Leo's room forever.
So that answers that, where you like Dustin Nguyen's art enough to, even if he draws Punchline, you would still keep it. You don't dislike Punchline that much.
Even if Dustin Nguyen drew Talia and Batman together in love, I would keep it.
Wow, all right.
Dustin Nguyen is great. There's probably nothing he could draw me where I would be like, no, Dustin Nguyen. Like, no, I'd have to. But then I would go back to the root and say, why Dustin Nguyen? Why would you do this? And he would tell me it was you.
Probably, yeah.
Then we'd have some more words.
So Punchline made her debut 9 months ago, and co-creator James Tynion IV has hinted that the order numbers for the Punchline one-shot that's coming out this week have given DC Comics the go-ahead to put together big plans for her next year. That tells me miniseries/ongoing.
Tynion said recently in his newsletter, The Empire of the Tiny Onion, quote, "It feels like my year is beginning and ending with Punchline calling the shots. The fact that we're still getting so many amazing cosplayers tackle her months after her debut is thrilling," end quote.
And I didn't think that cosplayers would latch on to Punchline because at the beginning and for many months, it was literally just a speculator character. This was a character that got popular not because of the story, maybe because of her design right now from cosplayers, but initially and still because she is quote unquote the new Harley Quinn, or people think that her first appearance will be worth, the $1,200 that Batman Adventures 12 is right now.
Is worth $1,200? I'm rich!
That's like a month of rent.
That is a month of rent. Oh shit. Why'd you tell me that? Now I'm depressed.
Are you excited for are we going to read the Punchline one-shot next week? Is that what the Brocat Corps are going to vote in for?
I don't even know what they're doing to me anymore. We will talk about it when we get to our comics, but I am very upset with all of them.
I know you haven't read all of the Batman Joker War issues, but I will tell you, I've read all of them, and so far, they really haven't done much with the character.
Good.
And not enough to where I'm like, you know what, she's a pretty decent character. And I don't know if this Wednesday's issue is going to be different with a one-shot just focused on her. I'm not sure. I hope she's a great character, and I hope that she continues to evolve and build on. But off the bat, she still doesn't have, to me, the appeal that a little appearance from Harley Quinn as a henchwoman in the animated series, that impact was bigger so far than any of these newer characters.
Absolutely. I don't know. I still feel like we're trying too hard with Punchline to get us to like her, and I'm just not about it. I see her as a threat.
Is that what it is?
Maybe that's part of it. But yeah, there was just something about Harley, and maybe it was the perfect time and the perfect place and something that we hadn't seen before. And it feels like we're trying to make Punchline that next thing. But again, we've seen it before, so it's not really standing out. It's not. She's not Harley. You're never. I will say this with confidence. You are never gonna find a character that's gonna take off like Harley did. That's that same mold, right? That same fitting into that way for the Joker. You're not ever gonna find a character that'll do that again because that's what Harley is. In the same way that you'll never find a character like Batman who's gonna take off like Batman did. Like. The spot's been filled, so stop trying.
Well, the one thing that I will give James and Guillaume March, I think Guillaume was the co-creator of the character, might have been Jorge, but they are essentially trying to make her the opposite of Harley Quinn. And we know that does work with villains and heroes as well. So you saw with Flash, he has Reverse Flash, you've got Batman, you've got the Joker, Batman has several analogs that are the opposites of him, one of which made their debut as well in today's review of Batman, which I think is a better character than Punchline already.
Yes.
But they can make these opposite characters work, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Punchline. But yeah, I feel like we're that Mean Girls meme where it's like, stop trying to make Fetch work, stop trying to make Punchline work. It's not going to be a thing. And I hope it is. I hope this one shot is great and it blows me away. I just don't see it happening.
Nope. Unless you read it and tell me that this is worth reading, I will not be reading this book.
Or if it wins in the Brocat poll, which it will.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that when we get to the block, the comic highlight, whatever. I'm going to talk about it.
It was a little bit of a slower news week, and I think mainly because of the election week that's been going on, but it was still a huge one for the Snyder Cut movement, which is what we have here, as Forbes had their exclusive interview with Ray Fisher.
He said a lot of things about the toxic environment while working on Justice League. We have about 5 different quotes, different sections here from him. So why don't we read through one and then we can talk about it, and then we'll move on to the next one.
It was a pretty big article, and I picked out these because they answered a lot of questions as to what happened on Justice League while still not giving out his entire case. I think he's leaving a lot of that for when we get into the legalities of what went on that set under Joey Whedon. The first quote here that I picked out is, quote, "For one thing, the cast and crew were told that Zack had handpicked Joss to finish the film for him. I didn't find out until after the reshoots that was a complete lie. I heard whispers and rumblings of things being off behind the scenes, but nothing concrete until much later. They had us go out to San Diego Comic-Con in 2017 and say Zack picked Joss and that Joss was a great guy. I still have the email with those talking points," end quote. That answers where people were saying there's this big flip-flop between Ray and the cast members and Joss. And here he's telling us literally this wasn't a Zack decision. They went into these reshoots thinking literally that Zack had handpicked this guy and going, during it like, holy fuck, like this guy's terrible and he's toxic. But Zack picked them, and they kind of had to move forward. And they were giving this mandate by the company of this is what you need to say at Comic-Con.
Listen, the way they went about it is really crappy, and I don't think they should have said, yeah, Zack picked this person for these things. But again, whenever there's a big shift in something like that, you do have a certain way that you expect employees to talk about it, right? It's the same in my store. You don't say, well, we have to do this. You say, this is being done because of these things, right? 2 very different ways. So I don't disagree with the idea of, with this change, talking points were sent out, but I do disagree with the way that they started off by saying Zack picked this person. It should have been Zack has stepped away, so we as a studio have chosen this person. We feel that he's going to bring a lot of insight in these things and X, Y, and Z to this project. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a very muddy area where things were done incorrectly for the wrong reasons.
They ended up going with that lie instead of, and I think they had a lot of fear in which if they said, we picked Joss Whedon to go in and finish the film, I know for a fact even less Zack Snyder fans and viewers would have gone to see the movie. We probably would have started boycotting the thing before it
Oh,
came out
yeah,
if it had come out
absolutely.
like that. And I think that's why they said, well, let's just say that Zack handpicked the guy and we'll get that confidence. And they even kept saying this is still Zack's film. In the credits they put directed by Zack Snyder. And yeah, Joey Whedon had his own credits as well, but it was marketed under the impression that this was a Zack Snyder film, and now we know much better. And even as you're watching it, after you see it once, you see that it's not at all a Zack film.
And yeah, 100%, you're right. They were trying to protect that and get the fans to still go, because so many would have been like, well, no, not going. See you later. Bye.
Another quote here is when he started talking about what made him finally go into going after Joss Whedon and the higher heads out at not even Warner Brothers, but at DC.
He said, quote, "What set my soul on fire and forced me to speak out about Joss Whedon this summer was my becoming informed that Joss had ordered that the complexion of an actor of color be changed in post-production because he didn't like the color of their skin. Man, with everything 2020's been, that was the tipping point for me," end quote.
So this is where a lot of people were immediately going into, well, everyone's skin tone was changed, or the whole thing had a whole color change and grading. But this is, I think, where a lot of the movement actually wants to talk to the crew that worked on changing those colors and the look of the film, and see if the intention or what the message was behind updating these colors. Because if it was, as we initially thought of, they're trying to make it more colorful, to make it like a Marvel goofball film, which they succeeded in, it is a Marvel movie, then fine. But if there were racial intentions behind it, negative ones, then that's where I think that's the point he's trying to make, where he or someone knows something, or someone said something and they have it on some kind of record or people backing that up. And that's probably where he's going with that, because I think otherwise he wouldn't go in that direction. We know that he's already risking a lot. He's bombarding his whole career with this if it ends up being completely nothing. And I don't think it is, because at this point, yes, he did cut off his career with what it seems like Warner Brothers, at least until all of this is settled.
And it's super unfortunate if it comes out and that's what it was. And I think that of all things will be the hardest to pin on Joss between all of this, because yeah, he could just say we were trying to make it more colorful, or, as a director, the lighting just was, there's a million and one things that he could say to defend himself within that. Hopefully people will really look between the lines and drill down to the truth and just be like, no, that wasn't what he's saying, is not what really happened. What Joss is saying isn't what really happened.
And there was some support as to what was going on behind the scenes and these changes. The article continued, the interview continued with, quote, "Prior to Justice League's reshoot process, blatantly racist conversations were had and entertained on multiple occasions by former and current top-level executives at Warner Brothers Pictures. Decision makers that participated in those racist conversations were Jeff Johns, John Berg, and current Warner Brothers Pictures Group chairman Toby Emmerich," end quote. That was all said by Ray as well.
Wow, that's calling him out right there.
That's specifically going and naming these people and calling each of them racist and having these actions that were racially motivated. So I still think he knows something that he obviously did not include in this article.
Right. Yeah, he has to have something to back that up. I don't think he would say this in an article and put this out there with his name attached to it if he didn't have very solid evidence that these things were happening.
Well, even when you look at the film, outside of what they changed with Ray Fisher, which since this article, he has said on Twitter that almost every single scene that you see in the theatrical cut or in Justice League was a Joss Whedon reshoot. That very few of his scenes from Zack's cut exist in that cut of the film. And that includes all of the actors of color that were completely removed from the film or heavily reduced. And that includes someone like the Atom, who didn't even show up at all in Justice League, and his character was completely cut out of the film. The whole backstory of Cyborg, who is the heart of the film, Jeff and whoever decided to make these changes, Joss Whedon, felt that they needed to get this movie down under 2 hours, and this is where we're going to cut that out of this, and we're going to leave this, and we're going to instead have more scenes of Flash falling on Wonder Woman's boobs, and Lois Lane telling Diane Lane that she's thirsty and or she's thirsty for Superman after he's dead, and these UFO fucking interviews in that same scene. That shit was more important though than this backstory character building that we had from Cyborg, his parents, the Atom, Jason Momoa's Aquaman as well, with all the scenes, the extended scenes between him and Vulko and Mera. So his backstory was also cut. It's unbelievable to see, and including the Amazonians in the history lesson scene, they're a huge portion of that, which was much longer. So now you're cutting out these female characters on top of all of this, which were already built on really well in Wonder Woman and in BVS as well.
I think we're definitely get to see so much more of that when Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out too, because you'll really be able to compare side by side and say, yeah, and I'm sure Zack will let us know, there's only 1 week of reshoots, right? So we'll get to know exactly which scenes those were, but to be able to say, well, this was clearly made before and was cut out. And I think when that happens, even more information will come out and even, more proof of why these things were done.
The final quote here is Ray talking about what he has to lose when you compare that to accusing him of lying and fabricating all of this.
He said, quote, "I'm not worried about the consequences. I'm well aware of what's at stake. If people don't want to work with me because I'm refusing to tolerate abusive behavior and the corrupt culture of old Hollywood, then so be it. If nothing else, I'm going to go out of this business the way I came in, free and of my own volition. Can you dig that?" End quote.
That tells me honesty. That right there speaks that he's like, look, I don't care if I have no career after this. I want the truth to come out one way or the other. And if I have to be that person that falls because of it, so be it. As he always says on Twitter, accountability is greater than entertainment. That's the important thing for him.
Well, and I'm sure he understands that the things that he's doing within this will potentially save other people moving forward. Will open eyes, will have other people come out about these things, will let other actors know that they don't have to stand for this, right? And I certainly hope, and I really don't foresee him not being able to act in the future, because there's going to be somebody out there who says, yes, I want somebody like this on my side because I'm doing the right things. I don't have anything to hide. So why wouldn't I want somebody with this kind of integrity who cares about these things and these other people?
Since this article came out, the journalist Shiraz Faruqi was listed as a former contributor. So he was let go by Forbes, which immediately the movement went after Forbes. Initially, we were like, this is great, Forbes, we'll retweet you, get the clicks out there and get a ton of exposure on your website and your story. And then as soon as he was let go from Forbes, that's when we immediately flipped on Forbes and said, what are you fucking doing? Like, why would you let go of this guy? And I was listening to the Exiles Network pod, and they were covering this too, and they were saying if there was some lies in this article, then Joey Whedon, who did have a legal representative, put something out for him for the first time. So this is the first time he got legally involved in all of this, instead of going to Twitter and just liking tweets of people supporting him. And they said that while that these changes did happen, including the skin tone changes, but he was saying that they weren't racially motivated, and didn't go into further detail after that, which I'm assuming they're also waiting on the other side to get into, if they get into this legal battle, to defend themselves with whatever they need to. But if Forbes really saw that there was a problem with this article or the way it was reported, normally articles would then have a rebuttal section of, they reached out and said this, and we apologize for whatever, but they didn't go that route. They instead just let go of the journalist. And he has since said on Twitter that he doesn't regret putting out the article, that this is obviously for a greater good, greater than his job there or his position at Forbes. And it's sad that more people have to be targeted to try to make this story go down. And others have asked him, why are you going this public route through Forbes? And Ray has said that this is the only way he gets any traction on this issue, is when Warner Brothers gets nervous, and when all these other people get really nervous and start trying to get people fired or start to try to get rid of these articles. And that's when he gets traction on this case.
Again, I think this is one of those cases too where people can, they really want to do the right thing, but somebody's going to pick up this reporter and say, hey, I liked what you did. It was wrong. You were let go. Here, come work for us, right? There will be something for them to fall back on. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that it's getting to this point and that, Joey Whedon hasn't really said anything except, I'm going to sue you now. I'm going to like these other things. Like he's not really coming out against it. And, it was so shitty that the people were put in that place in the first place because they shouldn't have been, and I get it, that whole old Hollywood mentality, but we have to get over that. And we have to move on, and we can't continue to do these things because actors are getting paid a lot, but there's still people. I hope there's a movie about this someday, and it's Ray Fisher sitting down with the reporter, and he's like, you could get fired for this. And the reporter's like, I don't care.
Let them come after me. Like, really skew this to be amazing, and then have the others, like, super blatantly racist.
Yes.
I want that TV recreation. Like, I would watch it. I would buy it.
You see Joey Whedon sitting in his KKK, like,
like a little hood,
like,
Let's cut all of them. I could have kept going with that, but I think I'm going to stop there.
I think we should stop. He's going to come after us next.
This is all allegedly, everyone.
Yeah,
all
we know.
Allegedly.
We're theatricaling the movie. There'd be some jokes in there too, Joey.
That's right. See, he likes jokes, so he should actually enjoy this portion of it. They love jokes.
Perfect.
Everyone at Disney too. They should produce this. A lot of jokes in this. One thing that made everyone extremely nervous too is because this article dropped, and at the same time, Warner Brothers and AT&T, I should say, removed the Snyder Cut trailer at first from all of their social media accounts, so Twitter, Facebook, and it was still up on YouTube though, on the HBO Max YouTube channel. A few days later, it was removed on there too, and that's when we were like, what the fuck is happening? Why are they removing this trailer? And as of right now, there's some people, some bloggers and reporters that are saying that it's a music rights issue, and that once it's settled over the Hallelujah theme, that once it's settled, that they'll have the trailer back up. And part of me doubts it too, because I figured that they would have had that all lined up before they put the trailer up everywhere. That kind of stuff I feel like would have already been settled. And I don't know, maybe this was a hiccup, and once they have that up, great. So far, Zach has not put out anything, once again, cryptic, that would tell us that it's no longer going to happen or that it's all canceled. Some people suspect that since Toby is now in charge of all these green lights, that he's there's rumors that he has canceled Justice League 2, Justice League 3, and the rest of the Snyderverse offshoot projects, and that a large part of that are these accusations that are coming out against him. So until then, he is canceling these Snyderverse movies that would involve Ray and other people that he worked with. I can see that being a reality, but we still don't see that for sure being a thing or confirmed. And I think Zach would have told us by now something. And I think he's simply busy working on Army of the Dead and the Snyder Cut.
I think as far as canceling the other two, and of course I'm still holding out hope, but Toby has somebody that he reports to, and that person would not have said, yes, please spend $70 million if they're just going to go ahead and cancel them again. Like they're not. And I know we were talking a little bit about subscriber numbers. Those are still going to go up as soon as this releases.
Yes.
Like there's no way that people aren't waiting till this releases. They're going to subscribe. They're going to stay subscribed because this is a great service, and they're going to say, oh, wow, I didn't realize how much was on here, right? This is so much more inclusive than so many other things. Let me keep this service. And it's going to speak for itself at that point. So I still don't foresee these other projects being canceled, because once again, you're not going to invest this much money and then suddenly say, oh, JK, never mind, just because somebody new takes over. Like, no, things are already in place.
I hope so. I hope you're right that it's too ongoing now. After he had that agreement with the company to say, this is the plan and I'll agree to do this and we can do the Snyder Cut, but under these terms, no compromise, that train has already left and it's going and there's no stopping it. I hope that's the case. And when this does release, you bet your ass we're going to spike the numbers and make this a huge success, because we want more from the Snyderverse.
Well, the other piece within that too, right? HBO wants Snyder. We know that 100%. He's got such a big following. You know, his movies they want Snyder. So is it worth 2 movies that he wants to do to keep Snyder? Or are you going to say, never mind, we're not going to do these? And then he's going to say, well, that wasn't part of our contract, so now I'm going to jump over to Netflix and do my stuff for them, right? No, like nobody in charge anywhere is going to say, oh, this is a good business decision for me to cancel these things and still keep their job. Like it's just not going to happen.
One thing I'll give Zach a lot of credit for, and all the actors too that have agreed to come back for more, even just for the Snyder Cut, and who maybe want to do more with the characters, I give them all credit for not being completely jaded after what happened with Justice League and how they were review bombed after BVS, because I'm not sure I would have the energy or strength to come back and do more for this company. And yeah, a lot of those people are gone now, and the people that were responsible for this are gone, but some of them are still there. So I feel like part of me would be like, I don't want to make a success for this guy's company and make him look good. And as much as I like the DC characters, but again, I give them all credit for still having that in them to say, no, I want to create more from this universe. He doesn't have to. He has the world. He can make these Netflix projects, but he's choosing to come back to this.
And I'm sure a lot of those actors have that loyalty to Zach, like we talked about last week or the week before, where they really want to see this vision of his come to life because they were so on board with it from the beginning. I'm sure having gotten to this point and seeing his work butchered, it's just kind of like a personal thing for Zach now. And yeah, he could have written it off and said, yeah, no thanks. But at the same time, he knows all those negative reviews were because of somebody else's work, because at the end of the day, that's not his.
Not his at all. And he's already said that he will not use a single frame of what Joey Whedon shot. Keep an eye on November 17th. That is when we all suspect there's going to be either a new trailer with updated music, if that is truly the copyrights issue. Some suspect it's the title because it says the Snyder Cut on it. So other people think that it's Warner Brothers, AT&T changing it or updating the trailer for it to say Zack Snyder's Justice League. And others think that the trailer is just going to be re-uploaded once whatever gets settled on their end. But it is a shame if they end up getting rid of it and then re-uploading it with a different title, because that's millions of views that they just flush down the toilet. And I hope that these videos are just on pause or unlisted and that they could just put them right back up. But just in case, a bunch of us already downloaded that trailer just to make sure we have backups. So if anyone needs it, it's out there somewhere.
Y'all are crazy.
Well, it's like museum pieces. You wanna make sure that it's preserved in some way.
Okay.
We don't fucking play. Like, we know better now. We know much better at this point.
We would love to hear if any of you have any thoughts, any speculations. You can reach out to us on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, at Kelli.
But speaking of the amazing service that is HBO Max, here are the November 2020 highlights.
These are just the highlights, not the full list. You can go on Google and search what's new on HBO Max, November 2020. But first up, we have Titans Season 1 and 2.
You can catch right up with Titans. They just revealed the look at Red Hood.
Ooh,
people are loving
Red X?
it. I think it looks more like an Iron Man helmet that was spray painted red to me. I don't think it looks great, but whatever. People are liking the show. You and I fell off of it. It's not for us, but people do seem to be enjoying it.
We also have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special.
I started watching the first episode. I know I saw some as a kid, but I was never I was more of a Family Matters kind of guy, or Full House, The Wonder Years. But now I can actually watch all of The Fresh Prince, and I do want to watch that because of just this reunion special. If it was that impactful for a lot of people that they're bringing these people back, I don't want to just watch the special without any of the context.
I watched a lot of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't remember when it came on or what, but I really, really enjoyed it. I don't remember a lot of the episodes, but yeah, it was definitely, I was not a Family Matters person. I was a Fresh Prince.
We also have Too Fast, Too Furious, as well as The Fast and Furious from 2001. So a couple of those hitting HBO Max.
Cool.
They're goofy car movies, and they get goofier and goofier as each one goes.
I have not seen any of them, ever.
You remember the trailer where the one car gets out of the building and falls and lands into the other building?
Yes. I also remember when one catches on to a helicopter and goes.
That was the latest one.
Not related, but I do also remember the trailer where the guy rides his motorcycle on the ocean waves.
It was like It
was like Triple X or something like that. All right.
Same logic.
Whatever. We also have Clash of the Titans from 2010.
starring, I say starring, but Liam Neeson is in it. I think he plays Zeus. Yeah.
I never saw this, but I feel like I wanted to, and I don't remember why I wanted to.
Because of Liam Neeson.
Probably.
I watched the original one with the claymation characters, and I used to love it. And that's one reason I wanted to watch this initially, but we never caught it in theaters. We never saw it since then, but now I can enjoy it on HBO Max.
We also have a Flintstones Christmas.
One I never saw, but I mean, I guess they're celebrating Christ before Christ was around. Or just I'm guessing it's just a secular celebration of Christmas.
Is this a live action or animated?
Animated.
Okay. I mean, maybe we'll have to watch it. I did watch some Flintstones, and I really like the Flintstones comic book that came out. That was really great. So, yeah, I mean, we can watch it. Leo will probably enjoy it.
The Dark Knight is also moving from Netflix over to HBO Max, so more Batman on that service.
Next up is Free Willy.
I think this one had also been either on Netflix or HBO Max. We had covered it briefly, but now the rights are on HBO Max, so you can get your orca action on there. Grumpy Old Men and the sequel Grumpier Old Men is another one I also saw as a kid. Like whatever my mom watched, I would watch because, there was one TV back then. There wasn't several in different rooms and all that. And I actually ended up liking this one. From what I remember, the first one was two people two old guys that don't like each other, but they both want the same woman who's a little bit younger than them, and they're fighting over her, and that's what I remember as a kid. And I do want to go back. What was your mom letting
you watch?
Well, I mean, it was a different generation. I hear this a lot too with people my age. Of no, my parents let me watch Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever.
No, my parents didn't let me watch any of that. I don't know. Maybe it's because he lived up north, but
I think so. Yeah,
my dad wasn't allowed to watch Friends if we were in the house, or he loved ER. We couldn't watch that either. Like there were a lot of things where my parents censored themselves because we were home. So I don't know.
So that means you also didn't watch Happy Gilmore starring Adam Sandler?
Nope.
You don't like Adam Sandler?
I don't like Adam Sandler. I've never liked Adam Sandler, but I also have not seen Happy Gilmore. Adam Sandler's mouth is weird. That's why I don't...
You also said that about Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, Kevin's whole face is weird. Now that he's old, I can watch Kevin Bacon, but when he was young,
Not for you.
But one of my least favorite movies is probably the one with The Wedding Singer, Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, because I like neither of them because both of their mouths are weird.
That's the one you definitely don't want to watch.
Nope.
Happy Gilmore is the golf one where he's like an angry guy, an angry golfer, and he fucking hits it using his... It has Carl Weathers in it as his coach, I guess, or whatever you want to call that, but it's funny. I liked it. I remember watching it. Shooter McGavin is the villain. I think it's worth checking out. You might enjoy this one, even if you don't like Adam Sandler.
I don't like Adam Sandler. I feel like I'm going to be so mean. I feel like he can't act. He's just like very monotone.
You should watch Uncut Gems. Then.
I tried. It was too intense. Remember,
you should watch
I had to
Punch
stop.
Drunk Love.
I have.
It's good.
I don't
He's
like
a good actor.
I don't
He's
like
a fine
Adam Sandler.
actor.
I don't. You must have actors that you just don't like.
Well, there's that movie that came out in the 2000s called, I think, Comedians, and he did it seriously, just like Punch Drunk Love. No one came out and saw it, so he went back to doing comedies like Jack and Jill and all of them.
It's not even that he does comedies though. It's just his mouth. I just can't watch him speak. And even when I watch movies, I watch people's mouths because I don't know, that's just what I do when people speak. And I can't get over it. Like his teeth are weird. He has kind of a lisp sort of.
Did you watch Spanglish with me?
Yeah. Don't like him.
Good.
There's nothing I have seen him in where I'm like, yes, he was good. There's nothing.
All right. You don't like Adam Sandler?
No, I don't. But there's got to be an actor that you don't like.
Brie Larson.
You are not better than me. There's got to
Brie Larson.
Okay,
yes.
There you go. So it wouldn't matter what she was in, you wouldn't like her in it. Or like Kristen Stewart. Nobody likes her in anything.
No, she has a huge fan base, especially on Twitter.
I don't like her in anything.
Well, moving on to this list, there's a trilogy that just got added. We played it at the comic shop since we opened yesterday, and it's the Hobbit trilogy. My coworker, he said he didn't like the first two, and he didn't even go back, and he didn't see the third one when it came out. That's how much he didn't like these, but he likes the original trilogy. So my logic is I didn't like the original trilogy, so I might enjoy the Hobbit. If they're that different from each other,
right?
Then I might actually give the Hobbit a shot.
Did you like The Hobbit? I mean, you watched it in the store? Oh.
No, we don't watch it. It's all background noise to us.
Okay. Well, we should definitely watch it. I didn't even know there was a second and third one. I just knew the first one came out. So I don't mind watching it. Like, I know some about the story because when the original trilogy came out, I had friends who were really into it and had read like all the books from Hobbit on through and talked about it a lot. And I tried and I just never got into it. And there wasn't enough romance for me. So yeah, we can definitely give it a shot.
What he told me was that the director, who's it? It's not James Cameron.
Jackson?
Yeah, Peter Jackson.
Yeah, there you go.
Wanted to make this as a 2-part movie.
Okay.
And Warner Brothers insisted that he make it a trilogy because there's a lot more money involved. And
right.
Sure enough, the original trilogy did do quite well. And I thought the Hobbit trilogy did good too. But I also remember that Sir Ian McKellen was talking about how different it was doing The Hobbit compared to Lord of the Rings, where in Lord of the Rings, they were actually outside sometimes on actual sets. And by this point, when they did The Hobbit, there was a shit ton of green screen. In many cases, he wasn't there with the actor doing the scene. And he said if he had known any of this, he never would have signed on for the trilogy.
That's so unfortunate. And yeah, now that you mention that was definitely made in that time when everything was great. Like every movie was green screen. And so, interesting. Well, I mean, we'll definitely give it a try, but I'll probably like notice all the green screen. And I like green screen less than I like Adam Sandler. So,
well, there you go. We also have House on Haunted Hill. I believe this is the 90s version.
Sounds spooky.
It kind of was, kind of wasn't. It's got Catherine Zeta-Jones in it and Owen Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Back before because he did blow up shortly after that, but he gets killed throughout the movie. So if you want to see him die, you can watch that. Also, if you want to see him get really beaten up, watch The Cable Guy. He gets torn up in the bathroom by Jim Carrey.
Oh my God. Next up, we have The Iron Giant.
I think that's definitely a modern classic. Some people call it a Superman animated film, and I could agree to that. I love that movie.
Sure. Yeah, it's very good. If you want to cry, watch it.
Where's the giant, Mansley? Screw the country. I want to live. That's the best. Because he's launching a missile now. And it's like the fucking guy's next to you.
Right. Where's that missile going to land, Mansley?
A couple of Lego movies hitting HBO Max. We have the Lego Batman movie and Lego Ninjago. Watch both of them. Ninjago surprised the shit out of us.
Me too.
That's one that we went and saw in theaters because the Lego movie and Lego Batman were so good. So we're like, yeah, we're going to watch Lego Ninjago 2. We know nothing about Ninjago. Didn't need to know anything about Ninjago. It was awesome.
It was hilarious.
A lot of jokes for adults, and that's what... Especially if you're a parent. Like, there's a lot of like parent-child jokes in there.
Right. I feel like, because we saw it before we had Leo, right? So
I think so.
I feel like if we go back and watch it now, one, Leo will enjoy it, but two, we will get so much more out of it. So definitely something that I want to watch.
I just mentioned Jim Carrey, The Mask is hitting on there. So more for you comic book fans.
Yeah. I remember watching this movie and I just didn't really like it either.
It's one I loved as a kid too.
Really? Okay, we'll have to check it out. It's probably like too intense for Leo though, isn't it?
Yes.
Like not the
same,
so. Not the same generation. You probably saw it at his age, but
no, it had been out when I was a little bit older than Leo.
All right, sure.
I'll keep it at that. The Twilight Zone movie is also hitting HBO Max. This is, I believe, the one in which the two actors were killed while filming.
Oh my God.
One of the scenes. It's I think there was like, they call it the Twilight Zone curse because something had happened in the other movies that they did as well, or with these actors after they had worked on another paranormal film. But there was a helicopter scene in which it's hovering outside the house and the house is burning and they're running and it's raining. And the guy and the little girl are running outside. And what ended up happening is the helicopter lost control and it came down and it decapitated both of them. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that's, you can find that clip on YouTube still from what I remember. But that was one of the bigger, I guess, like modern Hollywood filming tragedies that had happened. And that's what that movie's kind of known for, to be honest with you.
The last one on the list is Looney Tunes. This is from 1930 to 1969.
So tons of Looney Tunes shorts, cartoons got added onto HBO Max. They have a whole hub on there just for Looney Tunes.
Wild.
Including the new Looney Tunes cartoon, which I will still rave about it, exclusive to HBO Max. It's exactly as you remember, but if you want the old stuff, you have the old stuff. There are options. Lots of great highlights and additions for November 2020 on HBO Max.
And of course, so much more on HBO Max, not just what we listed. So definitely, if you have not subscribed, check out the service.
Let's head into our Patreon shout-outs, our thank yous to those of you who make the show possible.
Our first shout out goes out to Kat on Instagram at _OurNest.
Definitely be sure to follow at _OurNest for her photography page. Lots of plant life images and little animals and insects too.
Frogs?
I don't remember if there's any frogs yet.
Or do you have the market on frog?
Yeah, I kind of do.
Frogtography. Next on the list, we have Matt on Twitter at Mr. Forklift. You can also find him at typingaboutmovies.com.
Matt retweeted the Smithsonian Magazine post of Tasmanian devils are back in mainland Australia for the first time in 3,000 years.
Y'all better watch out, those sneaky Tasmanian devils.
They're like the raccoons of Australia, right? They're aggressive and tough and actually could be a nuisance.
The only thing I know about them are what I know from TV. Taz, the Tasmanian devil.
They spin really fast.
Yeah,
and
just their legs.
Tornadoes.
Yes.
Next shout out this week goes out to Jared on Twitter at Spoon Sandwich.
Jared helped you create the cast of the all-female reboot for Fast and Furious.
I heard they were ending Fast and Furious. They weren't going into space like we thought they would or they had said they would. So I'm like, well, it's 2020. They're going to do the all-female reboot. And we were joking on Discord, like, who would they actually cast? And that's when, I was like, we were going back and forth and I was working on the poster and he threw in some suggestions. And I'm like, well, we need this representative and we need this. And they always have like the different body types. So who would we put on there? And that poster got tweeted out and I'm actually kind of proud of it. I know I could have spent more time on it, but it's just for a little joke. And
so who'd you cast?
So we had Wanda Sykes in there,
okay.
Brie Larson, of course, Hermione herself. What is it? Emma
Watson?
Yeah, Emma Watson. And then the girl from Riverdale, the Hispanic one, Veronica, who she plays Veronica.
Okay.
We had her. And then I tried to fit her, but I couldn't. But he knows her better than I do. But I think she's a black comedian. But she fit like the big body type of that all-female reboot cast that they did.
Okay.
Couldn't fit her on the poster, but I got everyone else on there, and the joke landed. It did its thing. And that's probably what we'd see. That's honestly probably what they would try to do.
I mean, yeah, but I would go see it.
Would you?
Our final shout-out goes out to Scott on Twitter at LazyGamingGuys or at Pandanime.
Scott streamed Pokemon Sword this past week, along with Julian and Omni. And that episode is also going up on Apple Podcasts. If you search for Lazy Gaming Guys, you will find it on your favorite podcatcher. And they're good friends of ours. And I really, really enjoy listening when I can tune in for their entire stream because they do stay up till 3, 4 in the morning playing.
Who's got time? I'm waking up at that time.
They're not going to wake up for another couple of hours here on our end. Except for Julian. I know he works at Walmart, so that he gets probably the least sleep out of all of them.
So thank you so much, Scott, Jared, Matt, and Kat for your Patreon support.
If you too would like your Patreon shout out every single month, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke. For as minimum as $1 a month, that's 25 cents an episode, you too can get your shout out.
Another great way you can interact with the podcast is leaving us a voicemail. There is a link in the description. You can also go to speakpipe.com/thereasonsimBroke. It's, I believe, a 90-second voicemail that you can leave us, and then you'll be featured here on the show.
But as always, our podcast will be free. The best way you can help the show is to tell a friend about it. Word of mouth is the most effective way a podcast grows. So if you have that DC fan in your life, definitely tell them about the award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast.
Now we can move into our comic book highlight as chosen by the Brokettes. We actually have 2 comic books this week.
First one comes from IDW. It is Sonic the Hedgehog Bad Guys #2, written by Ian Flynn, art by Jack Lawrence, and colors by Leonardo Ito. And these were voted on by the Brokehead Core. Head on over to @ReasonsI'mBroke on our Twitter. We'll put up a poll on what we should discuss. It was a tie between this and Batman. Sounds like you have something to say about Sonic Bad Guys #2.
Why y'all gotta do this? Every time we review a Sonic book, I say, I don't like these Sonic books. And every time you put one up, the Broquette Core votes on us. I think they're just doing it to piss me off now. I think they just want me to be mad about it.
It'll be this, and then next week it'll be Punchline and Sonic somehow.
Probably.
It's like, there's no Sonic issue coming out.
Why? I just don't understand. Like, I read it, sure, but it's... There are better uses for my 10 minutes, okay? I'll say it that way. That's the nicest way that I can say that.
Well, I figured you would like this issue more because there's a romance in this one, I felt.
Who?
Between the red guy from Monsters University and our main character, the doctor.
No.
It seems like he was like, you're better than Dr. Eggman. You can do much better than him. And I'm like, oh, is he presenting himself to him? And that's how I was reading it.
No, I read it as there's too much dialogue. It's just a standard team-up book. They're not really doing anything. Darkwing Duck has a lot of internal monologue of like, I'm just tricking all of you, so I can go back to Eggman. And I'm just like, I'm done with all of you.
I actually did enjoy this issue more than number one because of the way that they were trying to put this all on Sonic and all of the creative ways, like, here's how we're going to make that Sonic spin dash damage on this wall. So they both punch it and there we go. They got it. They've got the one who can literally turn into Sonic
Mimic.
And go into
He's
there.
the only person that I like in this whole thing.
And that I thought that was neat, but I love that Eggman was like, no, he's not an idiot. He's like, no, there's something else here. Sonic wouldn't delete all this footage and then mock me in this other footage and leave that. So whoever's doing this, I'm going to find out. They're going to pay. And I think by the end of it, it's really going to be the story of Dr. Starline ripping himself from Eggman and no longer being a part of that and being his own villain. I think they're trying to kind of build up his character so that he can stand on his own.
Yeah, probably, but he's still not an interesting character. Like, I connect to none of the characters in this book, and I think that's the hardest part for me. And I mean, I already don't really follow Sonic, right? I get that. But for me, it's just a very standard story. There's nothing where I'm like, yeah, that was really deep. Like, I really connect to that character or feel about them or, want them to do something. Mimic is probably my favorite because he's cool. His threat level's only 7. I'm like, please, he can turn into anybody. Like, I'd be turning into like big official. I'd be turning into Dr. Eggman, right? And just walking through and taking my own shit. I don't care about Darkwing Duck. I did before when I was like, oh, he's interested in Eggman. Now he's just, I don't know, being dumb. And the guy from Monsters University, I'm like, whatever.
He's probably one of them. Yeah, like they're trying to set him up as he's going to betray the whole team. He's going to try to do his own thing. He's an adversary to Dr. Starline. And it could really go either way, where at the end, he's either going to stay teamed up with him and they're both kind of be honest with each other and say, well, these are my intentions in all of this. And they'll have that respect towards one another. But I feel like he was tricking Starline and lying to him by telling him, you're better than Dr. Eggman, and confusing him. And Dr. Starline kind of fell for it pretty easily and really immediately was like, maybe I am better than Eggman and I can do these things better than he can. So I'm leaning towards them being enemies by the end of it. I don't think this team is going to stay together I could be wrong, because they do actually work well. And obviously Ian worked diligently on making sure that it was balanced. Like, you have the idiots of the group, but they're the muscle. You have the mastermind. You have the stealth guy. So it's built perfectly to be a team. So I'm actually going to change my mind on that. They're literally the opposite of the Sonic teams, and you can make them work against them for fucking hundreds of issues.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like any of them. And listen, if you're a fan of Sonic, you like these villains, it's awesome. I don't think the story is built poorly. I just, there's nothing, I get nothing out of this book when I read it.
Except the colors by Leonardo Ito. They're on point.
Ito!
Next review we have here, comic highlight, is Batman number 102. It is the story after the Joker War has wrapped up.
This is written by James Tynion IV, art by Carlos Pagulayan. There you go. And Carlos de Anda. And the colorist is David Barron.
So this is that issue that debuts the Ghostmaker, which we had covered a couple of months back, an all-new villain or character to the Batman mythos.
I thought it was a fine way to start it off. You do see some back and forth between present and the past, obviously, because this is a villain that's coming from Batman's past and some that he worked with before he was even Batman. And we do get some Harley in there. And I was like, yeah, Harley, do your thing, girl.
I was surprised we got any Harley at all in this, because it seems like this is a story between Bruce and the Ghostmaker. We still don't know who he is. I thought it was silly that when Bruce comes across him as he's trying to find the next master of the next skill that he's working to learn, which in this case, it's the knife, which by the way, we didn't even mention it at all, but this is obviously spoiler-filled reviews for these comic books. If you listen to the show every week, you know that the comics we go into detail in, but in case you're new, spoilers here. Not that there's anything major, but when he comes across this knife expert, Ghostmaker's already there. He's wearing a fucking bandana, covery ninja thing. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You look ridiculous. You're making fun of Bruce.
He's a teenager.
Bruce,
Leave him alone.
who's like so is Bruce. And Bruce is normal.
He probably
whatever.
had a black light bedroom, so it's fine.
Probably did. But this is Bruce's rival. And their whole agreement back then is, if you can defeat me, then you can learn these skills from this guy. And Bruce has a vendetta against him where apparently he killed his master, or a mutual master that they had in the past. And Bruce is obviously on the good side of all of this, and his rival is on the evil side, or at least on the side of, I'm going to murder if necessary, and I will rule with an iron fist. I will come down on criminals. I will kill them. And they both, I think, believe in the same ideal of making the world better by coming down on crime, but he obviously goes a step further.
Very reminiscent of something that you would see from like Shazam versus Black Adam or Green Lantern versus Sinestro, right? Where it's what's most important to take care of my people. Well, that's killing crime. That's, people are murderers, so I'm going to be a murderer too and kill them. So, yeah, I mean, I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be a very opposite of Batman already. I like this character a lot. I think there's a lot that they're going to do with him as we dive into their stories. And he's probably not even going to be as really evil. Like, he's going to be a sympathetic villain, which is what we like best out of our villains.
James did write the Clown Hunter to be a little bit sympathetic, but I think we're going to get more out of Ghostmaker for sure, especially as we learn what's driving him to go down this path along with Bruce. And at the end of it, they're actually fighting for Gotham, where Ghostmaker's like, your city is a fucking mess. You're not doing your job. So I'm going to take over Gotham for you. And he's literally telling him, like, outside of Gotham, and Bruce tells him, Gotham is mine. We had an agreement. You stay out of here. And that's when he says, then get your shit together. Because otherwise, you're going to fight me now, and we're going to fight for Gotham. That's what this is. And it reflects on their younger years of, you get to train with this guy if you can beat me. And that's kind of the same thing they're having here. This is a Bruce without his gadgets. He has to fix his own gear, and he doesn't have an Alfred. He does have Oracle, which is really neat. So he has some support, but it's no longer him relying on his wealth. And I think it reflects on his younger years where he was traveling and training, which I think is a neat parallel there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really cool the way they set that up. And I think this is the perfect time in this story of Bruce for this, this rival to come back. It was reminded me a lot of like Ash and Gary. Like, Gary's always showing up first, like, oh, I'm here first. I already beat the gym leader. Smell you later. So, but deeper and more. So what did you think of the character design for Ghostmaker?
I think it's a really cool design. And I know a lot of people were making fun of the parachute pants, and I still don't really have a problem with them. I think they look cool. And I think the design of the high-tech gear helmet thing that he can hack into all these systems, it's a really cool looking character. And I still hope that there is some connection to the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul, especially with the type of culture that's reflected in his costume. But they have to have some kind of connection as well with the League. There's no way Ghostmaker did not come across Ra's or the League by now.
I'm sure he did at some point, but I think he would, kind of be kind of like Damien of, well, I'm going to do my own thing, like learn what he can from all these different places and pull ideas and systems and, again, just so many different things, but then still do his own thing, which, is very similar to what Batman does. He has all this knowledge, all this background, but he still makes it his own.
There's so much potential, too, in telling those untold years of him training and working towards being Batman, which has not really been heavily explored in main continuity of the comic books. So it's a whole world right there on its own of Bruce's younger years. And that's where you can introduce these characters that are coming back into his present life. And I honestly think that Ghostmaker will probably kick Batman's ass this time around. And I still think Ghostmaker is someone that probably will and does rival Batman physically more than probably any of his other villains or characters.
I would definitely agree with that. Like you said, I think this first fight, Batman is going to lose, and then he's going to, hack his system and find out more things and ultimately come out on top and send this guy packing and maybe even change his mindset of like, listen, I know you think that I should be killing these people, but this is why I don't. This is why we can't, because this is what it is at the end of the day.
They already introduced the character in the comic books. I remember him in Detective Comics, but my coworker Sean, he said, how cool would it be if this was Kodokai from the animated series? Remember how they were both studying one of the martial arts, and he ended up killing their master. And since it was mentioned in this book, that would be a cool way. But his character was already in the comics, but that would have been neat.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Now, I think it'll, again, taking elements from a lot of things and just helping those moments help the audience understand, like, no, we're still on Batman's side because you're a murderer.
So far, so good. Already a better character than Punchline 100%. Or Clown Killer for my taste, I think. 100%. I like Ghostmaker, and I think he will definitely stick around for many years to come.
But that does wrap up our comic book highlight for the week. Once again, we do post every Wednesday. We list the comic books that we got in. You are able to vote and have a decision in what we read, not Sonic, please.
Let's head into our final portion of this week's episode. It is the Brocat Block.
Leo's trying to get us to play hide and seek. Mommy can't play hide and seek right now, baby. This is what happened with Daniel and I this week, but the first piece is actually a Last Ronin feedback from Marvel DC Fan for Life on YouTube.
I really appreciated the YouTube comment. It's not our main channel at all. Like, we put up unboxings and whatnot, but as far as the podcast, it does go into the podcatchers where we get most of our downloads and feedback. So it was cool to see this, and I did tell them that I would include their thoughts about The Last Ronin on the next episode, and they had a whole thing on there, but you can check out our YouTube channel for the full comments, but I have a portion of it here, and this is, once again, spoiler to The Last Ronin in case you haven't read it. So that's your warning there. They said, quote, "The Mirage comics hardened Mikey pretty badly, even made him an antagonist and mass murderer, but I hope the Mirage comics will continue and redeem him. This led me to believe that Mikey could become the most damaged when it comes to family. His family tends to underestimate his abilities a lot over the years, and they can be surprised when he actually does or say anything smart. But what happens when the light burns out? What is Mikey's character if you take away all the happiness and fun from Mikey? I feel like the later the TMNT media plays around with Mikey, the more we get to understand how much importance he has in his family. Let me know how you guys feel about my response," end quote.
I think that's 100% accurate. Yeah, totally on point. We talked about it last week, and the more I think about it, I really feel like Mikey could be probably the most dangerous turtle, and he's so kept in line by his family or fitting a certain role within that family. And yeah, I mean, we're seeing in The Last Ronin, you take that away and this is what he can become.
It's either he goes insane the way he did to keep his sanity in a way, he keeps his brothers with him, or he accepts the harsh reality in his mind as well. And that's where he would probably become that character that he describes here, or they describe here from Mirage Comics, where it's almost a villain as well. I personally think Raphael is the most dangerous, potentially, because he is the most skilled, at least in this current run of comic books, compared to the rest of them. But holy shit, if Mikey could easily be one of the darkest, he could go to a darker place than I think Raphael can.
That's why he's the most dangerous, because he can go to a darker place.
Yeah, but I'm talking about skills. Like, Raphael would still kick Mikey's ass, I think.
Mikey's the best. Leave it alone. Mikey's the best turtle.
I love that feedback. Thank you so much. And we want to hear more from anyone else that read The Last Ronin. Definitely let us know on Twitter or on YouTube, wherever it is, that you can get in touch with us. I also had a fun interaction last night with Pat Zurcher. So one of the store subscribers at William, he pointed out, because he listens to the show and he knows about, at least definitely my gripe with digital formatting of comic books today. And he's like, I want you to take a look at this. He said I was going to have an aneurysm. And he points to the page, and it's for Savage Avengers, I think number 13. I forget the issue number, but it's definitely for the latest issue of Savage Avengers. And it's 9 panels for reasons, because I guess it's Watchmen or because it's digital format. I don't know what it was. It looked terrible. But one of the panels he pointed out, it was clearly drawn to be a longer horizontal panel, and it just has this random divide. It just chopped right down the middle to fit that 9-panel format, I guess, or so that it goes smoother in digital. It didn't look good, and it was enough to where when he was reading it, it stuck out to him. He pointed it out, and I immediately was like, what the hell? I haven't seen anything like that in fucking years.
Forever.
Like maybe in hyper indie books that are just up and coming, it doesn't look good. So I told him, I was like, I'll tweet it out to him and see if it was like a mandate from Marvel, because it looks like something the editorial went, let's go ahead and just put a panel break here and continue. I'm like, he'd probably be pissed if he saw this, or probably already spoke about it. So I tweeted it over to Zurcher, and he went off on me. Like, he was pissed off, and you saw the response.
I did.
He was saying that the way that he drew Elektra's shoulder is to guide the readers from panel to panel. And he said that if I had shown the whole page, that you would see how the word balloons fit perfectly. And I quote here from Zurcher, "But what do you know about layout exactly? Why do you think I talk about other things more than comics? I have no tolerance for this bullshit," end quote. Then he blocked me right away. And my initial tweet, and you can see it, you saw it on Instagram, it was up there, you could see it on Twitter, was literally drawn as one panel originally, just an odd cut. That's literally all I said, and it was mainly to talk about, did Marvel do this? Was this a Marvel mandate? What's going on here? And he went off, he blew up, blocked me, and that's when I was like, honestly, man, it just doesn't look good. Like, if this was you that did it, and I know he didn't read it because he blocked me, but, everyone else saw it, it's not a nice panel, and it doesn't look better if you look at the whole page, and I don't know, and it is what it is. That's my little blow up. I haven't had a blow up since Liefeld, when I literally told him, #block me, Robert. And that was the last time, though. And you saw that response. I think he overreacted. William thought he overreacted and was salty about something.
And listen, tensions are very high in the United States this week. There's a lot going on. So everybody could be set off quickly. Again, part of the issue with social media, with text messaging, with all those kind of things is you don't understand somebody's tone when you read it. So maybe he was getting shit about it from somebody else, and then you were just the straw that broke the camel's back. And yeah, he might have said he'd done it, but it was probably Marvel that mandated that. And he, I don't think that there's probably any artist out there who is going to be okay with them saying, well, we're going to do these 9 panels, so you have to fit it into this frame, right? So it was probably a whole lot of things. Is it unfortunate that it came out on you and he blocked you? And was it an overreaction? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we don't know what else happened prior to that.
Well, if I looked at his timeline and he was going off about politics, and then my tweet went in there, so I was probably I was in the line of fire, so to speak. So that's fine. I just thought it was hilarious, because it's like, oh, well, if you're saying that you did this, then it's not a nice panel, and I will tell you that now, especially after I got blocked. But initially, I wanted that information of, yeah, we were mandated and that sucks and I'm not happy about it, because then I could have dived into this even more and kind of seen what other artists' takes were on this, and kind of really try to start a dialogue with other workers in the Marvel industry if they were willing to talk about it. But not the case. I thought it was funny. You thought it was kind of funny. We also finally got a chance to make it back out to the theater.
Yeah.
And see the latest Liam Neeson movie, The Honest Thief. Brief thoughts on it?
It was a Liam Neeson movie.
That's right.
When any movie that has Liam Neeson on it, you automatically assume it's going to be Taken-esque, or Taken on a Train, or Taking Some Money from the Bank, or this is what all these movies are called. So exactly what I expected from it, right? Liam Neeson's doing something, somebody's threatening that, so he's got to take him down.
He got framed this time.
Yeah.
He's the honest thief. He's trying to come clean to the FBI, but they fuck him over. And I think the poster says something like, never mess up a man's second chance. And it has him with a gun pointing out. I'm like, fuck yeah. And it's exactly what you said. It's a modern Liam Neeson film. He's a talented actor. I wouldn't say he blows the role away, because you can tell his accent slipped several times. So it sounds like it was a one-take type of movie.
But do we even care?
I did not give a shit. I thought it was fine. This isn't Schindler's List type of Liam Neeson acting, but it's still like, it's fucking Liam Neeson kicking ass, running around. He's in his 70s. I buy it. I don't care.
With his girlfriend.
He's got a girlfriend. And he's barely running half the time. And yeah, they do that camera trick of like, he runs up to a fence and then they cut to the other guy behind him, like huffing and puffing, clearly younger guy huffing and puffing behind him. And you see him landing on the other side of the fence and then running, jogging up the fucking steps. And it's like the old man Liam Neeson still outrunning these young FBI cops.
Of course.
He's a bomb thief. He's using his many skills to stop them and to clear his name, and that's exactly what we wanted. I would have liked more violence, more shooting or whatever, but it's not taken. He is a bomb thief, and we do get a little bit of hand to hand here and there, which was fine. But I'm glad he's still making them.
Yeah.
I will be there to keep watching these
forever. Like, he could be in a wheelchair because he's so old, and I would still go and watch him because it's probably a cool, like, motorized wheelchair. And he's like, nah. I thought there were a lot of really fun pieces in it. Like, I didn't hate the main FBI guy as much as I thought I would.
The villain or the guy that was in Terminator 2?
The guy that was in Terminator 2.
Okay.
I was like, oh man, he's a pretty cool guy. He had that dog. His dog was like precious.
Okay. You're talking about his boss was in Terminator 2.
Oh, okay. No, not that guy. The other guy with the dog.
The guy that can see Liam Neeson's side, and he's on the other side, and he's there to help him in a way, even though his crew and his department is corrupt.
Yes, exactly. I really like that guy because, like, he turned out okay, and he was cool. I feel like we still got a lot of character development from a lot of people, like, kind of smushed in there, but it wasn't jarring. I was just like, oh, yeah, he's gotten over his divorce now, and he loves this dog now, and even though they didn't really dive into that. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Anytime you put a dog and you spend the time to put a scene of the dog just looking at the characters, dog lovers will be like, this is a good movie.
It's a great movie.
And that's what I loved about this too. It made him endearing to the audience. So I'm like, all right, if we're supposed to like this character, they're doing a good fucking job. And we were. And yeah, you're right. I think that the script could have, and I told you right afterward, the script could have used probably another couple of passes.
Yeah.
Because the whole plot point of him being recently divorced, I took that as, oh, he's going to end up being the ex-husband of the Liam Neeson's new girlfriend because she was also recently divorced. And they kind of put those scenes as like, oh, they're going to end up being, and that would connect him to all of this. But no, they just both happen to be recently divorced, have nothing to do with each other. So that made his divorce unnecessary. I think it would have been fine. Like, I get that he was trying to take care of this dog, but you could have easily rewritten it to where he just fucking brings the dog to work. You can do something.
Yeah, but it had to be like he was jaded and he didn't like that dog at first. And that's why he was frustrated and didn't want to go out and check in on Liam Neeson himself because he was like, I can't even deal with this.
Then make up something else. He inherited the dog from his parents or something. I don't know. You could have done it, but that's where I got a little bit confused. But again, we didn't care. We saw explosions. We saw Liam Neeson running, driving like crazy from the police, using his skills as a bomb expert to also be an expert at outrunning the FBI and switching cars at the right time. And all of that was amazing. The villain was definitely just a bad guy.
He was a bad man.
He's like, he wants to steal his money and kill people if needed.
Yeah.
Just went from 0 to 100 in the course of the film.
That's all we cared about. I mean, he didn't need a motivation. Just let him do what he wants.
Just a bad person. And I liked it. If you like the Liam Neeson movies, The Honest Thief, it's worth it. Yeah. Watch it.
It's not, okay, so not as good as Taken.
No.
What about Taken on a Train, The Commuter?
I liked The Commuter was better filmed. Okay. But I think it had a higher budget too.
Oh, okay. What about The Gray?
The Gray was good too. I like The Gray more.
Okay. What about the Snowplow movie?
That movie was fucking terrible. It's literally an MCU movie. And I'm not saying that like, I mean, I am saying it's a terrible movie, but it's a comedy. It's a spoof on Liam Neeson movies. And that's where I was completely fooled on because I saw the trailer and it makes it seem like it is, and they're trying to make it a ridiculous premise of a snowplow man who's out for revenge. And I'm like, this is fucking cool. But they intended it as it's ridiculous. And I'm like, no, it's Liam Neeson in that role. Yes, I want to watch this. And I fucking rented it and I saw it. And the whole thing is literally a spoof. It's kind of like Airplane or the other Leslie Nielsen movies, where he is like the Bond spoof and all of it's literally that, but with Liam Neeson trying to doing comedy seriously, and then the jokes write themselves, and you've got these million other characters. It's way too long. It's not good at all. Fuck that movie.
What about Taken 3?
It's better than Taken 3. Okay. I did not like Taken 3, but Taken 2 is better than Honest Thief.
Really? I don't remember much of Taken 2.
That's where they go. The guy comes back after him because he killed all those. Was it Armenians?
Yeah, something like that. I think I like this one more than Taken 2.
Gotcha.
Anyway, it's great. It's a great addition to Liam Neeson's Liam Neeson movies.
It is. And I can't wait to see his next one.
I know. I'm so ready.
What happened with you this week, just to wrap up today's episode?
Listen, work's been wild. Just, doing work, doing homework. I got like 30 days of school left, which is super exciting because I'm so ready to be done. But a lot of challenges, a lot of store closures in the area. So I'm taking on the extra business. And I think I worked from 4:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. last night. And it was just great. Just so exciting trying to get, everything done and then went in on my day off for a little bit to help. We have our busiest day of the year coming up.
Black
this
Friday?
week. No. Well, I mean, it's our Black Friday, right? So yeah, that'll definitely be really exciting. I'm, happy of what we've built and excited to see where we go for the rest of the year, because this is starting Friday we'll be busy for the rest of the year.
Gotcha. I had an idea. I was thinking about you yesterday.
Oh.
And this is going to hype you up.
I'm so hyped.
And I'm afraid to bring it up because I know you're going to make this happen, but
Yes.
it's also cool because you probably might make this happen.
Maybe.
But I've seen, so if Auntie Fee used to have her own, I don't know if you guys remember, Auntie Fee was like this YouTube channel. She did these simple cooking things and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And she had her own spice that she released. It was like Auntie Fee's spice, and that's what she used.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, legitimately, I was thinking about the store, and I was thinking about you, and I was like, well, we could never make coffee work at the store probably because we would need someone like Kelli, but she would never work there. I was just, doing my thinking like I always do. And then I was thinking, she knows so much about coffee, she could probably make her own type of brew. And I'm like, what if we have the Brocat brew? And that, like, it just kept going. I'm like, what if she designed, our own coffee brew that we can make available to the Brocat core, and we can put labels on it. And I was thinking, like, I wonder what flavor she would pick. I was thinking, would she go dark? Would she go light? What would she actually pick? I think she should just pick something that she concocted and made and put together. See, now you have the ideas running.
I do. Would it be something that they would be able to purchase and bring into their home, or is it something like go to a store and use this recipe and that's the Brocat drink?
I was thinking of like we'd sell the bags of the little, what do you call that? The little, not the beans, but the crushed fine beans. What the fuck is that?
The coffee grounds?
Yes, the grounds.
the coffee grounds. The fine beans. Oh my God. The fine beans.
They are fine beans. They're in a fine powder.
I mean, I could, but the thing within that is you have to have a very refined palate to be able to taste the difference between all the fine beans. Mm-hmm. So I could do that. I'm going to think on it. I'm going to think about what I would do to get the Brocat brew. And then for us to actually sell, there might be a legal thing because I'm not roasting my own beans. So I would have to purchase somebody else's beans and then sell it. So that might be a legal thing too.
And the Palpa Kelli could be a darker roast, I'm assuming.
I mean, yeah.
See, now I'm thinking too.
It would be our favorite coffees. That's ultimately at the end of the day. I would be like, yep, this is my favorite coffee. This is how you're going to go. And
this is how I would recommend
making this.
Using this kind of milk, this kind of sugar or sweetener or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that thought came across yesterday.
I'm going to think of it. It's going to be great. Oh, I'm so excited.
But on that note, we are going to go ahead and finish off today's episode. Huge thanks to all of you who tuned in. If this was your first episode, hopefully you enjoyed something today to make you come around for next week's. But otherwise, I've been Cypher Daniel.
And I am Emperor Palpa Kelli.
And Brocat Core. All will be well. I put down MLB The Show for a second on my little bit of free time to reload Dragon Ball FighterZ. Bobby told me that, and Scott also pointed out, that I've had these $5 every month on Power Up Rewards, that they've now updated the program where they just give you $5 credit if you're a Power Up Reward member, which is insane. Like, if I were still working at GameStop, I would easily still, even now, I used to sell the shit out of the card with the buy two get one coupon with a free $5 every month. They're literally more than paying off. They're gifting you the goddamn power-up card. And I'm like, I've had these $5 this whole time. And they're like, yes, but they expire at the end of the month. So I've had a bunch that have been expiring and I just haven't been using. But now I know about this, and maybe someone else out there knows, but you have a $5 coupon credit on your account. And Bobby was telling me, hey, Leo.
Hi. Well, come on. Let's talk about the $5.
Bobby was telling me that you can redeem these towards points on the eShop for any of them, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. And I'm like, this is perfect because each of the fighters in Dragon Ball FighterZ are $5. And yes, they don't do a $5 credit, at least in store that I could use it on. But Bobby was like, look, buy the $10 one. It's already half off and you're getting $10 credit. So I did that yesterday. I used my one for November. Then I went into Dragon Ball FighterZ and they added the latest character, which is Master Roshi. And I said, I was sitting there for 5-10 minutes trying to decide, and I'm asking you, which character should I download? I can only pick two. One was definitely Roshi. I'm like, we got to have Roshi on there.
Vegeta.
But this fucking game, I'm like, all right, I'm going to pick Broly. We finally settled in on Broly, and it was between that and Ultra Instinct Goku and Vegito and Gogeta. And I went with the Dragon Ball Super Broly instead of the classic one. Downloaded them, went into the character select screen, and I forgot. I knew I had the first fighter pass already, but I didn't know which characters were in that because it had been a few years since I played it. Broly was already on there. Already had one of the Vegetos. Vegito was already on there, and I'm like, this game almost made me spend another $5.
This game
on
don't
characters
care.
I already fucking own. So now I have to remember. All right, I have this, and this already. But I tried out Master Roshi. It was so much fun. Just seeing him bulk up into his giant form and use the Ultra Kamehameha. It was amazing. I kind of remembered how much I liked this game and how it isn't all that difficult to pull off these moves, and it was so much fun. Did you have any thoughts on Roshi beating up Cell or any of the others?
I did like his super Kamehameha. I thought that was really cool. And I mean, yeah, Roshi would not beat up any of these characters, but he was really cool. It was fun to watch him beef up and do his thing, and the skinny old man locking people in jars and all these different things.
I'm going to be the actually guy right now, because in the manga, Roshi takes on Jiren, and he's kind of been like, no, I know a form of Ultra Instinct that I can teach, that Goku is just learning now. So that's how he's able to take on Jiren and some of these other characters, because he is able to dodge these hyper super strong moves, and he himself is actually starting to hurt Jiren in the manga. But the only reason he's not able to take down Jiren himself is because of his age. He's like, if I was a little bit younger, I could probably put you down, but at my age, it's going to have to go to my student. And that's when Goku takes great honor in fulfilling his teacher's teachings, and he's like, this is all for the Turtle School of Master Roshi, and he uses those skills against Jiren in the manga. If you go by the show, I mean, in the movies, he also fights Frieza's army, and it's pretty fucking awesome. But if you go by the manga, Roshi's not a fucking joke. And when I read that, I was like, he could have taken on all of these villains all of these years, but he's letting his students do the work. He's letting Krillin, Goku, and all of the Z fighters take down these guys.
Nah, he's just staying home and watching porn. Listen, he doesn't care.
And that's one move I was kind of surprised wasn't in the game, of a magazine move or whatever. But then I remembered that this was directed by a woman.
Oh, yeah.
You probably wouldn't have that in the game.
Well, I'm glad they made him a badass in the manga. I'm glad they're making him a badass in the game, and that you're able to play as him and be just cool Roshi.
I'll be downloading more characters. Cannot wait. Not Goku next, right? Because I have to be Vegeta.
I mean, you download whoever you want.
All right.
It should be Vegeta. But whoever you want, Daniel.
Make your choice. I'm not saying I'm going to be mad if you make certain ones, but do what you want.